Hello and welcome to this video about the Renaissance. As you can see in this picture, beauty standards and ideals have changed very frequently throughout the centuries. Beauty ideals also started to change in 13th century Italy. Artists studied the ruins and remains of classical antiquity and tried to imitate them. They admired how great and realistic ancient sculptures were. Writings of the ancients were used as a guideline in their pursuit of perfect proportions. Local rulers and city governments reached back to antiquity as well. In their struggle for power, they modeled themselves after ancient Rome, and rulers commissioned artists to produce works of art promoting the rulers' fame and glory. People from this period spoke of a rebirth, in French Renaissance, of classical antiquity. The term Renaissance is still used to this day to indicate the early modern artistic style inspired by classical antiquity. The Renaissance peaked in the 15th century and the beginning of the 16th century, with famous artists like Raphael, Leonardo da Vinci, and Michelangelo. Da Vinci was the perfect example of a homo universalis, a person whose knowledge and skills span many subjects. Besides being a painter, Da Vinci was also an engineer, scientist, sculptor, and architect. Just like in medieval times, Renaissance artists were inspired by Christian art, and Bible stories remained immensely popular themes for art. Architects built churches and palaces in the classical style. Their works of art were often a compromise between classical antiquity and Christianity. Ancient Greek mythology also became a theme. Moreover, landscape art and portrait paintings developed into a separate genre. In order to equal the impressive buildings of classical antiquity, Renaissance architects delved into mathematics. Of course, they didn't build new temples, but they did apply their mathematical knowledge to the construction of churches and palaces. These Renaissance buildings were characterized by symmetry, beautiful proportions, and classical elements, such as pillars and pediments. Painters and sculptors tried to be as realistic as possible. That's why they studied nature in all its aspects and made drawings in sketchbooks. Leonardo da Vinci, for example, examined dead bodies to get a better grasp of human anatomy. So again, a focus on realism and the right proportions. And whereas facial expressions in medieval art were often stereotypical, now there was some more room for emotions. Renaissance painters succeeded in depicting lively but balanced scenes. They also mastered the use of light and shadow and developed perspective techniques thanks to mathematics and geometry. Although the new style of painting wasn't exclusively Italian, artists from all over Europe were inspired by what was happening in Italy at the time. Italian artists sold their products to customers from abroad, and painters from the north traveled to Italy to study paintings. This way, Italian Renaissance art spread across Europe. To sum up, the Renaissance was a rebirth, a revival of art and architecture under the influence of classical models. The Renaissance had its peak in Italy in the 15th century and would continue during the 16th century. In this word cloud, you can see the most important elements of Renaissance art. Don't forget to fill in the Google Forms and see you in class.